All right, welcome back. The former president of PENGASSAN, as well as the former president of TUC Trade Union Congress, Peter Esele, is joining me right now from Lagos. Hello, Comrade Esele. I'm still calling you Comrade. I don't know if you still won, since you are not a president again. Or should I just call you Mr. Peter Esele? Do you transit from comradeship to, to a Mr. back, or Mr. to comradeship?
Thank you for having me. A comrade is always a comrade.
Okay. So welcome to the program. Let's get started with this alarm that the Petrol Retailers Association have raised, that the landing cost of petrol has increased. Therefore, they are informing us buyers and consumers that we may need to pay more for fuel. What is your immediate reaction to this?
Well, I think they are giving us heads up. They don't. That is not within their prerogative. The Petroleum Pricing Product Regulatory Authority is the only one by law that will tell us how much we'll pay at the pump price. But if you look at it, even if you go by PPPRO template, and with the current crude oil prices, you will know, of course, that there is subsidy being paid.
There's subsidy being paid. Okay, since you've talked about subsidy, does it mean that what Mele Kyari told me on the show just a few months ago, precisely in September 2020, he actually said it on the show that Nancy subsidy is gone forever. So with this now, we're still subsidizing fuel products.
Yes, I think they are subsidizing fuel because when he made that statement, you and I know that the price of crude was hovering between $40, was within the range of $40, which invariably means that what we're paying at that time was cool, and that was the right time for the government to say subsidy has been removed. But if you say right now, if you go by the template of PPPRA, landing cost is about 180 naira, and you are selling at 162. So what you have is who is probably paying the difference. So what you have right now is that NNPC will be paying that difference.
So where is the regulation policy in all of this? Is it a matter of back and forth by the government? And what is the indication, especially to investors or even to the industry as a whole, that is this market stable in terms of policy, perhaps policy somersaults?
I think one of the challenges that they are facing, that's why you see the retailers coming out, because they have coming out to tell us that we may have to pay more, because the retailers, what guides to inform you that you are going to pay more is what you are paying at the depot. So once the prices increase in the depot, you also know that you are going to have to pay more. So that is why they are saying what they are saying. But one of the things you must note is that when you come in terms of policy, I think the government is still confused about what they intend to do. Are they going to go the whole hog for deregulation, or are they going to be going back and forth? What we have at the moment, I will tell you that NNPC at this moment are subsidizing, and it's not just a few hundreds of millions, it's running into billions on a daily basis.
In fact, these petrol retailers have also come out to say, at least from the president, Billy Gilihari. Yes, yeah. I did speak with him yesterday, and they are of the view that they should also allow petrol retailers to import into the country, that they can source their own FX. Do you think, of course, if they do that, that means that there's no subsidy anymore. So since they haven't even started doing that, what are the implications since this announcement was made last year?
Now, the implication for what the retailers are trying to do is that there have to be a policy behind it. You just don't wake up and say, okay, we'll source our forex and we need to import. I think that is one of the major challenges that the retailers are facing right now. And the government is still, there's the politics of the regulation too. The government needs to look at, okay, how do we make sure that life is not too difficult for the ordinary man? The president is elected, or the president was elected to make sure that life is easier for the people. So they also need to phantom the economic impact of you moving the product. I'll give an example. If you are paying at 162 naira, and then you wake up tomorrow and you have to pay between 198 and 202 naira, I think the economic impact will be huge, and the inflation rate will also increase. and then the poverty line will be deepened further. So these are some of the things that I think that government may have to think and come out with an economic policy that will factor on the likely difficulty that the ordinary Nigerians will face. So
with this back and forth, to and fro, do you see fuel prices increasing? And if you see that, what is the fair price you think fuel price? Yes, what's the fair price for fuel in Nigeria?
Right now, the landing cost is 180 naira because the price of crude is at about $61. So if you have the price of crude at about $61, and then what you have is that the prices will naturally increase because of the devaluation of the naira. So if you are getting the dollar at about 412, depending upon what NNPC is using to import it from CBN, so what you are likely going to get to sell to the easiest part of the pump price at 162 will be at about 200, between 198 and 202. But the challenge is that the government now has to put on their thinking cap to see how they can do that. I watched the Minister for State for Petroleum addressing a press conference or in an interview saying that Nigerians should be prepared to pay more for the pump price of petrol. So I think that is the major challenge facing the government right now. But ordinarily, this thing would have taken care of it. Not just this administration. Successive administration from 1999 have only been kicking the can down the road. So now it's staring us in the face.
Well, who controls that band?
PPPRO is in charge. It's between PPPRO and PEF.
Thank you.
PPPRO is the final person final institution that will fix the price.
Now, if the forces of demand and supply comes in, and perhaps we should not have that band. I don't know if they have band abroad for selling fuel. Does that mean that the PPPRA will continue to exist? So yes. whether it's more about the politics of fuel or the politics of this deregulation of subsidy that is holding us back, the politics that involves both the buyers and the consumers and even the labor unions themselves.
It is all politics. Everything you pointed out now, it's correct. But again, you also know that you are in a developing economy, and you also know that the prices of petrol is very emotive. So you must find the balance. If you want to situate Nigeria with what happens in Europe or America, you have to look at it holistically. Somebody in Europe or America, even if you like, you say a liter of petrol is $5. But the guy knows that there is affordable transport to take him back to work. The healthcare system there is working. So if in this part of the world you want to you want to treat us like Europeans, you must also be able to provide the facility that makes life easier for the people in Europe. So what the government is trying to, that's why you always see government flip-flop when it comes to policy decision.
Now, with what you've just said now, what leeway can be given to government? Because governments would say, I want to make more money for myself to be able to provide these basic amenities and infrastructure to our people. On the other side, the people are also saying that government hasn't provided the infrastructure. I've not seen any of this, and you're still telling me to pay more for fuel. that will still eat into my pocket. Inflation is rising, 15.75% in December. So how does government technically handle this position? We want to be like those in the West, or we want our economy to work like those abroad. We need to do certain things to make it work. These are the certain things we need to do. We need to take off subsidy. We need to do this. We need to do that. So how do you expect that the government can, you know, be in this kind of middle situation and get out of it?
The first thing is communication. The first is communication. The people need to be informed that, okay, now you were paying 120 naira, 125 naira when the prices were down. Now, when the prices is up, the prices are going up, you are expected to pay X amount of money. So first is that you need to create that awareness with the people, and this awareness will go over time. And then you do this. The next thing is for you to say, okay, this is what we are doing because we are taking away subsidy. Subsidy, on the average, NNPC is spending about 54 billion every month for subsidy. On the average, I'll tell you, I'm giving you just January figure. So if they are spending that, in the whole year, it comes to about over 600 billion. And if you convert that in dollar terms, and then you tell the people, this is what, you are not really saving money, but this is the area that we are taking attention of, and this is what I'm providing to cushion the effect. I'm not talking of band-aid or ad hoc. So once you have been able to do that, you communicate with the people, and then thirdly, the people must see how transparent you are in terms of deploying those resources. It's one thing to tell the people, you communicate to the people, you tell them this is where you are putting the money, and the other aspect of it is for the people to see that you are transparently spending the money.
Now, okay, go ahead. Just land on the point.
Another aspect of it is that politicians, being who they are, you must also show that you are cutting costs. You and I know the cost of recurrent. Our recurrent expenditure is one of the highest in the world. So all of these will also pass the necessary information to the people, and then they will know that, oh, fine, we are going to go through this hardship, but tomorrow will be better. Hope is what the people need.
Comrade, are you for subsidy removal, or the subsidies should still stay? Since what we're seeing right now, it seems that it's still looking around. Where do you stand?
One thing is very clear. Where I stand, I've always made this emphasis that go ahead and first of all fix the refineries. If you are going to fix the refineries, privatize the refineries. Privatize the refineries on the NLNG model. And then when you privatize the refinery on the NLNG model, the Dangote refinery is also coming up on stream, and then we stop importation. And once we stop the importation, then the pressure on Forex will be eased. Then we will now know where we go from there. I'm not going to tell you whether I support subsidy removal or not. The fact is that there are framework for you to go through to have that implemented. But if you wake up and say, oh, I'm going to remove subsidy, we start doing the necessary framework without putting the necessary policy in place, without going through the necessary processes, you are going to have protests on your hand.
Okay, so perhaps what I can also deduce from what you've said is that you are not for subsidy at this time. You are for subsidy removal if everything is done right. Put our refineries in place and all of that. But you know, putting our refineries, making it work is not a short-term measure, as in now. And how does government get the money, perhaps, you know, to fix some of these challenges? The B part, I will allow you to answer. The B part of it is also labor unions have been against the removal of subsidy. They have always been at the forefront. Don't remove subsidy. I also remember some years ago, this discussion came up during the Okonjo-Iweala days as finance minister. In fact, Okonjo-Iweala and Sanusi, then the central bank governor, were going around the country informing Nigerians that we need to take out the subsidy. Government will do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 so that we can take out the subsidy. We are bleeding. But yet, nothing was still done about it.
Now, first thing first, you are looking at subsidy removal. Nobody is going to tell you to take away the subsidy at a go. Nobody is going to tell you that. But what the government has done is that the government, in going ahead to say, that's why I keep talking about informing the people. When you inform the people, let them know what is coming. Over a period of time, there's no magic wand around this. Everybody knows. Nancy, you yourself, you know that prices of crude oil has a boom and a bust cycle. So government should plan with the boom and the bust cycle. And when you do that, you can come up and say, okay, fine, we are taking away 50%, we are taking away 60%. What the government is not telling us right now is that the government is subsidizing. I'm the one telling you now, the government is subsidizing, and they've been doing that. They've been doing that for a while. So nothing is wrong by coming out and letting Nigerians know that this is how much we are spending daily subsidizing this product. And when Nigerians are aware of that, okay, and then tell Nigerians what you want to do with the money if you take away the subsidy, how to better their life. Okay. And then your second question. Your second question is that be fair to the labor unions. Now, I'm not saying because I was a former president, I will tell you what actually happened during Sanusi. I was PENGASSAN president at that time, and TUC president. There were only 3 or 4 people who were really interested in subsidy removal. That was the president, the minister of finance, Sanusi Lamido. The other actors were just mounting it. We had sat down with them behind the scene and said, okay, fine. PENGASSAN and NUPEG were never against subsidy removal. They simply said, these are the building blocks that will lead to subsidy removal. And then the discussion that was going on informally did not say you should remove subsidy on the 1st of January. The discussion that was going on was do it midterm. Okay, now the president of Nigeria, Buhari administration, removed subsidy to a degree, moved it from 97 to 145. Did labor lock down the country? No, it did not. And then the prices have been going up and coming down. You are not also having labor shutting down the economy. No. These current labor leaders have been very cooperative with this administration. It's not left for the administration to put on its thinking cap and find a solution once and for all. I'm even tired of having to talk about the regulation again and again and again.
I think you are as tired as I am too. Let's talk about this dovetailing into the petroleum industry bill that the president has laid before the National Assembly. We've seen public hearings both at the upper and the lower house. How do you think that this will change the dynamics of other markets moving forward, if or when this is done? Also having in mind, the second part of the question is US and China. President Biden has finally communicated with Prime Minister Xi of China. We know that these are 2 powerful economies. The IEA also, I was reading a report yesterday or 2 days ago, that the IEA says that all price recovery is still fragile. All demand in the world is still fragile. Where does it put Nigeria in all of this?
Now, even as it is, Nigeria is not benefiting from the $61 that you have. Don't forget that OPEC, the prices that you have right now are the prices of cut in production. So the cut in production by OPEC is actually what is driving the prices upward. So when IEA is telling you that it's fragile, they're actually correct. It's very fragile. So if we were producing 2.4 million barrels, and because of OPEC cut, we are now doing about 1.5, 1.6. So if you have all of that, what you have at the end of the day is that you're really not making money. So on one hand, the government is broke. So the government is finding ways to survive. That is virtually, I would say the government is virtually gasping for air.
Okay, I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Comrade Esele, for speaking with me today. Thank you. I wish you a lovely day.
You're welcome.
All right, I've been speaking with Comrade Peter Esele, who was the former president of Trade Union Congress, as well as the former president of PENGASSAN. That's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. Please join us again tomorrow for another edition. I am Nancy Naji. Be the best you can be the change you want to see. Don't forget to wear a mask. See you tomorrow. Thank you for watching our video. Please hit the subscribe button below, turn on post notification to follow all our updates.